It's 11:45 Eastern. It's time for A Radio's Morning Moment.
You're listening to A Radio.
Landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You're listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. You can find us on most social media platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Go to our website, aradio.wordpress.com, for details, where you'll find more content and details on our podcasts and more. This is another piece on the ongoing saga that is George Soros in Canada. It actually comes from an American newspaper, the Niagara Independent. I believe it's an American newspaper, but I can't be sure. This is just a short excerpt, but I urge all Canadians to look this up while you still can. And to my American friends, let this be a warning of future attacks on not only your freedom and your way of life, but your right to choose how you live your life. I have said for many years that Trudeau is dangerous to Canada, but crickets from the mainstream media. Here's all the evidence you need, and what better way to hide all that evidence than in a pandemic, where you don't have to worry about the inconvenience of democracy to continue on transforming Canada. Now, I know that phrase, or part of it at least, will be very familiar to my American friends, and that's the point. That's the point. Here's that short piece. For a man who casts such a long shadow across our country, most Canadians are stumbling forward without any true sense of what the Soros world vision means for the future of Canada. George Soros, a philanthropic agency, the Open Society Foundation, or OSF, funds hundreds of millions of dollars annually to advance a globalist agenda and the spectre of a one world government by the United Nations for the past 20 years. I'm just going to interject. Not one word about this in the mainstream media. Not one word. The piece continues. Canada has been pulled into the Soros vortex with the infiltration of the OSF-funded lobby organisations and with his own recalibration of the Liberal Party of Canada. Since the election of the Liberals in 2015, the country has become an unfolding post-national experiment. I'm sure Canadians have heard that expression from Trudeau's mouth himself, post-national. The piece continues. Ostensibly, Soros took control of the Canadian policy with the electoral victory of the Liberals. It is well documented in the research of the Canada Decides reports to Elections Canada, as well as an investigative journalist, Vivian Krause, and there's a reference to that link as well in there, that the 2015 election campaign is a textbook example of foreign influence on election results. For Soros, defeating Stephen Harper, who was the previous Prime Minister, was held out as an important pivot. Now this piece is important, what's coming up here. Soros facilitated exchanges between US Democratic backroom operatives and the Liberal Party campaign team, and he channeled OSF, Open Society Foundation's funds into Tides Canada, an offshoot to Soros' left-of-centre Tides Foundation. With Tides Canada financial support, organisations Lead Now and Dogwood spent millions of dollars and mobilised thousands of campaign workers to defeat Harper's Conservatives in a total of 40 ridings or constituencies. Ensconced in Ottawa with a majority 4-year mandate, the Trudeau government began to systematically transform the country's economic and societal fortunes into a Soros phantasm. Central to Liberal government's agenda has been the unwavering commitment to global environmentalism. I'm sure that sounds familiar to my Canadian friends. And the reduction of carbon emissions. In its first budget, the government introduced a punitive carbon tax and is scheduled to increase it to attempt to meet a Paris Accord target by which Canadians will reduce global carbon emissions by less than half of 1%. Fast forward to today, and Canadians are about to learn the second part of the Liberals' environmental agenda, subsidising green industrial projects. Gerald Butts was the architect of Ontario Green Energy Programme and is now masterminding the National Building Back Better campaign to introduce government-sponsored green programs. Worth billions of taxpayer dollars, Butts' green initiative is reportedly to deliver the post-coronavirus Canadian economy away from our rich fossil fuel resources. Now, that's just a little piece, okay? May not have read it brilliantly, but that doesn't matter. It's 2 points. The first one has just come to me. Look at the slogan that Joe Biden is using right now. And what did I just read out to you? Building back better. Do you honestly think there's no connection in any way? Well, you're an idiot if you don't think there's a connection. The connection is George Soros. George Soros is also linked to AOC. He funded AOC. AOC is a member of the Democratic Socialist Party, a separate part of the Democrat Party. Now, a further interjection here. Gerald Butts, who was responsible for the Green Energy Programme in Ontario, which destroyed our energy system in the province of Ontario and caused the highest electricity prices in North America. Gerald Butts also, if you have forgotten, is a nasty little anti-American twerp, in my opinion, that has been heading up all Trudeau activities, no doubt at the behest of Soros. Can you be in any doubt listening to this? The piece continues. An anti-oil lobby has been the core of the OFS-funded environmental causes, from the American lobbyists' first meeting in 2008 when they devised tar sands campaign. The environmental lobby has been relentless in smearing the reputation of the Canadian oil and gas industries. In a number of her articles, Caruso surmises that 10 years and $500 million of misinformation, the campaign on Alberta oil sector has effectively turned many Canadians against the development of our country's energy resources. So I'm going to stop it there. And I want to say this. I'm going to say this. You've had the evidence there. All you need to expose the link for Soros interfering in a foreign election. And you've also heard a link from Soros to the Democratic Party and Biden. Yet, because it's Trudeau in Canada and the Liberals, nothing happens. Nothing happens. Canada has been sold down the river of green social justice, Black Lives Matter, transgender, all that garbage fed by none only than Gerald Butts and George Soros's team. You've heard it for yourself. Trudeau thought he was going to get a seat on the UN Security Council. He made all the right noises to all the right people. I have no doubt Soros told him to. He plied them with millions of Canadian taxpayer dollars in the middle of a worldwide crisis. All for naught. But Soros, having destroyed our oil and gas industry, set province against province, having forced upon Canadians a tax on carbon dioxide, the very gas humans exhale. There's an irony for you. The man who helped the Nazis, George Soros. It's documented. It can't be denied. No, Soros is setting his eyes now on the biggest prize of all, the one he thought he had in 2016, only to have it snatched away from him with his own arrogance. Soros wants the White House, the ultimate prize. With that, and the control of Congress, he can bring about the unthinkable, the New World Order, one that would see not America leading the world, but his communist buddies, communist China. All is now in place. Don't doubt me. They think this is their time. They can do it. And they may well have a chance. After all, as I said before, what better time than when the world is in such disarray? It couldn't have been time better, could it? It's almost as though, I don't know, it was planned. And that's my comment, other than to say this. Please check out that full article on Soros, particularly if you live in the USA. Canadians are too late, they can't do anything about it. But you can. You American citizens can do something about Soros. You can stop him in his tracks and have a congressional investigation on the activities of the Tides Foundation and George Soros, if you want. And the ironic thing is that they were all told what would happen here in Canada if they elected Trudeau. But Canada's media lied and covered up what Trudeau really was and is, because they, the Canadian media, are just as complicit as the American media. They are pretty much, as we all know, liberals. And more to the point, they think they are untouchable. But in reality, it's the media who always are the first to fall in a dictatorship. Isn't that right? Witness Hong Kong. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, Parler, Spotify, and email. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass these links on to your friends. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com/a-radio. That's EHRADIO, a radio. And please click on the like button. Join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 11:45 Eastern, for our morning moment or tweak. And tell your friends, pass the word. We only tell the truth, not what the Canadian mainstream media want you to know. This time, more than any in history, we all need to trust but verify.